Section 9. Teth. Life and Works of Jesus in Assyria. Chapter 42. In Persia Jesus' work was done, and he resumed his journey towards his native land. The Persian sage went with him to the Euphrates. Then with a pledge that they would meet again in Egypt land, the master said farewell. And Caspar went his way unto his home beside the Caspian Sea. And Jesus soon was in Chaldea, cradle land of Israel. In Ur, where Abraham was born, he tarried for a time. And when he told the people who he was and why he came, they came from near and far to speak to him. He said to them, We are all kin. 2,000 years and more ago our father Abraham lived here in Ur, and then he worshipped God the One, and taught the people in these sacred groves. And he was greatly blessed, becoming father of the mighty hosts of Israel. Although so many years have passed since Abraham and Sarah walked these way, a remnant of their kindred still abide in Ur. And in their hearts the God of Abraham is still adored, and faith and justice are the rocks on which they build. Behold this land, it is no more the fruitful land that Abraham loved so well. The rains come not as in the productive former times. The vine is not productive now, and withered are the figs. But this shall not be forever be. The time will come when all your deserts will rejoice, when flowers will bloom, when all your vines will bend their heads with luscious fruit. Your shepherds will again be glad. And Jesus preached to them the gospel of goodwill, peace on earth. He told them of the brotherhood of life, and of the inborn powers of man, and of the kingdom of the soul. And as he spoke, Ashbina, greatest sage of all Assyria, stood before his face. The people knew the sage, for he had often taught them in their sacred halls and groves, and they rejoiced to see his face. Ashbina said, My children of Chaldea, hear. Behold, for you are greatly blessed today, because a prophet of the living God has come to you. Take heed to what this master says, for he gives forth the words that God has given him. And Jesus and the sage went through the towns and the cities of Chaldea, and of the lands between the Tigris and the Euphrates. And Jesus healed a multitude of people who were sick. Chapter 43. The ruined Babylon was near, and Jesus and the sage went through her gates and walked among her fallen palaces. They trod the streets where Israel once was held in base captivity. They saw where Judah's sons and daughters hung their harps upon the willows and refused to sing. They saw where David and the Hebrew children stood as living witness of faith. And Jesus lifted up his hands and said, Behold the grandeur of the works of man. The king of Babylon destroyed the temple of the Lord and the old Jerusalem. He burned the holy city, bound in chains my people and my king, and brought them here as slaves. But retribution comes, for whatsoever man shall do to other men, the righteous judge will do to them. The son of Babylon has gone down. The songs of pleasure will be heard no more within her walls, and every kind of creeping thing and unclean bird will, in these ruins, find their homes. And in the temple, Belus, Jesus, and Ashbina stood in silent thought. Then Jesus spoke and said, Behold this monument of folly and of shame. Man tried to shake the very throne of God, and he essayed to build a temple to reach to heaven, when lo, his very speech was snatched away, because in lofty words he boasted of his power. And on these heights the heathen Baal stood, the god wrought out by hands of man. Upon yon altar birds and beasts and man, yea, children have been burned in awful sacrifice to Baal. But now the gory priests are dead, the very rocks have shuddered and fallen down, the place is desolate. Now in the plains of Shinar Jesus tarried yet for 7 days, with Ashbina meditated long upon the needs of men, and how the sage could best serve the coming age. Then Jesus went his way, and after many days he crossed the Jordan to his native land, and once he sought his home in Nazareth. His mother's heart was filled with joy. She made a feast for him, inviting all her kindred and her friends. But Jesus' brothers were not pleased that such attention should be paid to one they deemed a sheer adventure, and they went not into the feast. They laughed their brother's claims to scorn. They called him indolent, ambitious, vain, a worthless fortune hunter, searcher of the world for fame, who after many years returns to mother's home with neither gold nor any other wealth. And Jesus called aside his mother and her sister Miriam, and told them of his journey to the east. He told them of the lessons he had learned, and of the works that he had done. To others he told not the story of his life. End of section.